Something. It takes home. Like, on one time.
You know, it's funny, I went to buy the magnet, and then it popped up that
You guys ready?
Powerball.
Stand for pledge allegiance, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Molly, something just happened. We've run into an issue. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Village of Alexandria regular board meeting for January 10th, 2023. Could we have roll call, please?
Trustee Caputo. Here. Trustee Demo. Here. Trustee Dorigo.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Fulmer.
Here.
Mayor Jarvis.
Do we have any public concerns at this point? Sir?
Yeah, so the sled dog race,
You're Matt, right?
Matt Johnson, yeah, we started, organizing it, started getting everything together, but unfortunately at this point, probably gonna have to cancel. Long-term forecast is not looking good. We needed the snow, we needed it last week, and now there's nothing else. So, unfortunately, you don't know how weather's, especially winter around here, is going to play out. So, shoot for next year, and maybe we can come back better than ever, and just have a little more time to prep and get things ready to go. So, sorry to be the bearer of bad news on that front, but it's one thing I can't control. You know, it's one thing I would love to, but unfortunately, it is what it is. So, I did send the race map over to Trustee Caputo, and so it'll be there for next year. I'd like to keep the same thing and just go and try to do the same thing for next year. Just, again, weather dependent, so.
Sorry, Matt.
All right. A lot of people were looking forward to it. I had a lot of interest. Had over 250 shares on Facebook.
Well,
Lots of people, you know, are wanting something. I don't know if they really care what it is, but, you know, I don't know. People are wanting things in the winter time around here, so it's a good indication that, you know, if you build it, people will show up. So, but yeah, it's my stick. So,
Okay.
sorry.
thank you.
Well, we're sorry for this year. We'll keep us in mind for next year.
I will, for sure. Thank
Okay.
you. I'll see you guys.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other public concern? Okay. We have no correspondence. Minutes for December 13th. I need a motion to approve them. Everybody has the minutes?
I'll make a motion we approve the minutes.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. A motion to approve abstract number 7 as presented.
I'll make a motion we approve abstract number 7.
I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Trustee report. Who wants to go first? You want to go first?
No report.
Okay. Bubba?
I got a report, and I talked to, I started this about the traffic flow downtown. I talked to Brian from DOT, and he came down and took a ride through the village. And I talked to him today again, and he said that if we wanted to change the traffic flow on Market and down around the Monticello to make that all one way, we'd have to have an engineer do a traffic study, and that's one solution. And then we wanted to take out 5 or 6 spots on the left-hand side going down Church. you know, we'd have to talk about it, and, he said we could do a resolution, and they would come down and put in the parking signs, no parking from the corner of James to the corner of Thune. So, that's where we are right now, and he said he'd come to our meeting and maybe come up with some other ideas if we wanna go forward with something like that.
What did he really recommend? What are the odds of?
Well, really, the state doesn't really want to get involved, but he just would come and give us some ideas, but that's what they've come up with, is to take those 6 spots from the left side of Church Street, from the corner up to, front of Cavaliero side, from Bethune down to James, take those 6 spots out, flow when we have problems there, but he says we gotta look at it ourselves and talk about it, and he'd come down to our meeting if we wanted to.
But for around the Monticello, we would have to do a traffic study.
Right, we'd have to hire Gregor to do a traffic study, which you're gonna get in, and then when you start changing your traffic flow, it could cause a lot of problems, he says, which, you know, especially when we make that all one way down, which we talked about, around the Monticello and down double parking on Market Street. So,
Okay,
that's all I have.
okay. Cindy?
Let's see, Hearts for Youth has started with their programs for the kids after school, and, we got the funding for the last of the Jefferson County Youth Bureau grant for 2022, and the grant for 2023 has been submitted, and that's how we pay our employees through the Youth Bureau. Also, the St. Lawrence Arts County grant for our artists is submitted, and we just have to wait for approval for that. The library, they're looking for funding because they've got some structural issues over there, and their furnace needs to be redone somehow. And, so they're looking for grants and some state funding to do some of that work. Plus for some, maybe private individuals to give money for that. Gordon Court, nothing's new over there. Same thing, they're just gonna hire, they're switching, a couple people are switching jobs around, so that should be in place within this month, I believe. And that's it.
Okay. And then for me, what I have is we had discussions about EV charging stations, and I was dealing with someone in Syracuse. We got paperwork from them, but there would still be a cost to us, and we don't know what that would be at this point. So we are getting new paperwork from the gentleman, Scott, with Myriad Construction, so that we have it for budget time. And so nothing can be done about those yet. And then everybody got one of these, and this is New York State FCC asking for people in the area, if you have issues with your broadband, to go online and fill this out. You put in your address, that gives you the longitude and the latitude, and then when you scroll down further, it also allows you to look at where you are, and it also gives you what your Wi-Fi wherever you are. The important thing is that anybody that can do this, whether it's a business or a homeowner in the village or outside of the village, to go in and basically file what they call a challenge, because we are challenging the fact that, yes, they say we're fine and we're saying no, we need, infrastructure right here to make this work. The sad thing is the deadline is this coming Friday. So if anybody's interested in this, do it. And we've also given it to the chamber to put out under constant contact. Yep, under constant contact. And I've called a bunch of people and said, hey, give this to anybody you know, and let's see if we can start this to get money in this area for this. That's all I had. A lot of what I will do, Gregor will talk about. So, DPW,
The last snowstorm we had, between the three guys, we had 90 hours of overtime for those guys for that last storm we had. They've been in the shop. We flipped the steel on the plows, and we did a little chain work on their sanders this past couple weeks. We've started getting a little bit of time where we started working on the buildings. We had fixed and replaced, because they're LED mechanisms now, there's no replacing the bulbs. We had actually replaced 9 exit lights in the building. I finally got a hold of another outfit, Mason's Mechanical out of Ogdensburg. They got both furnaces up and running, and that stayed running. So that was a big thing for me. If anybody happens to see and go by the barn, Nelson Tree Service has utilized our back parking lot to park their trucks as they work during the day. So if you guys go by and see some extra vehicles down there, it's Nelson Tree Service utilizing that. We've started coal patching. That's the norm this time of year for us. Christmas decorations are all down. We had an issue, and it was up to the last day. The extension cord had actually caught fire from the season's greetings across the top, and it popped the breaker. So, I mean, the sign is, gosh, you know, probably 35, 40 years old, 50 years old. We can't get the T9 light bulbs anymore. So next year, through this year, we have to figure out what we want to do up on top of the,
this is the arch.
yeah, on top of that arc. We're going to figure out, and it's going to be a good chunk of money. So maybe it's a budget item or something like that, but I don't believe it should go back up next year. Like I said, that cord was totally burned, so something shorted out up on top, so. But,
So you'll look into getting an estimate
Yeah.
for that, and
Yeah.
also, you know, talk to Gil about sprucing up the arch a bit, because we'll need that for budget time.
Yeah.
Okay,
and that's it.
okay. I sent Cindy out to look at the exit sign by the door over there, and it told her to turn right,
Turn
and she
right.
was confused.
Yeah.
But we got it. Okay, police report. Police department had 6 complaints, 0 arrests, 0 V&T tickets issued, and 1 warning, 0 parking tickets issued, and 6 warnings, 7 building checks. Respectfully, Officer in Charge Joshua Davis. Okay. I went out of order. Zoning report. I apologize.
I sent out 2 series of letters to the residents as far as sidewalks. First one, there was 10 letters went out, and last Wednesday I sent 2 more letters out. Mother Nature kind of helped a lot of the issues and stuff with it. So the last 2 I'll check tomorrow. In Albany, there's a permit in the works for a floating dock out in the harbor at Hills Motor Court. They wanted my input on it, and I was concerned about the navigation of vessels in and out through there, about the impact on swimming and fishing and stuff, you know, which I think is minimal, probably in the harbor. And so I did get another letter back. They did bring back another report, another drawing, that they've increased the width in there from 75 foot to 85 foot in there. And I'm still concerned about the width. Time you dock a boat on the floater, and they're restricting the things. I guess I look at it from this point, they may issue the permit, but this still has to come before the planning board, because the docks are considered an accessory use to the commercial business there. So it'll be up to the village planning board if they want to go ahead and approve that. So until we get some type of report back from OGS, or, you know, that they've been permitted, you know, and then they'll have to file a application for site plan review with it. So last month, I brought up about the fact of on 25 Walton Street, so I put together my introductory letter to the lady back in November, some pictures in my report, and then the trustees can determine if they feel it falls within those categories.
Oh, this is the White House right next to the bank property. Okay.
Correct. There's one for you and one for Steve. I've been down there and, you know, been through it. I did walk around the back side of the property. The porch on the back side is still in, I'll say, fair condition. It certainly is not close to falling down and stuff like it is in the front. With that, I think the procedure is if the trustees feel you want to go forward with what I have presented, I've asked Gregor for an engineer to do a report. Sometimes I think their report means more because he can stamp it, where Lisham was just a ordinary person with it. If you decide to go through it, we have to do a tax lien on it, see if there's any vested interest in it. It'll take time. It's not something that we can bing, bing, bing and knock it right off. It's a procedure involved, a notification of the owner, setting a public hearing, determining, you have to draw up a resolution if you want to go forward with it. It may take 4 or 5 months, kind of depending on how fast everything can, you know, be put together with it.
Is the structure, the building sound?
The house, I feel, is sound. It's just the front porch. The sill in front is all rotted out. I think probably go with a hammer and dig right down the concrete if you wanted to. It's in bad shape. The roof is exposed to the weather. One of the pictures shows an opening in the roof with it.
So, what should be our first step?
Well, your next step is whether you deem if you want to go forward with the unsafe building law, and I think the next step would be is to draft a resolution and have a public hearing to start the process of the owner. Now, anytime the owner comes in and cleans this up, it ceases. I mean, we had that in Orleans. We had 4 of them, and 3 of the 4 came in and corrected the situation, and case closed. We still have one that we're in the bidding process yet, so.
But you haven't heard from her?
No, I sent the letter, and it's not the first letter I sent to her about the condition, but that's the most current. I think it's dated November 30th, is it, I think?
Yeah.
Didn't we already approve that we wanted to go forward with this at our last meeting?
Well, you had to get my input first, Bubba, before you can go forward with it. So this is what I have.
Right, but understand, we went into
Yeah.
executive, and we said that you proceed.
Well, now you have the evidence.
All right, so now, we've already voted to let you go forward, even though we didn't have this, but we all agreed on making you pursue this further.
Right.
When you came out of executive, no one made a motion. Not that Steve gave me any minutes. I have no minutes of a motion in a second. Does anybody recall doing that?
I don't think we did that.
So you'll have to do that.
Today?
Yeah, you can do that now.
Correct.
Correct, because they made no motion. There's nothing in my, you know what I mean, records that he made.
So you've got a problem that's been identified. Lee is classified as the enforcement officer under your unsafe building structures law. He's issued a report. I think what he suggested is, his recommendation is that you have the village engineer follow up with this, see what the village engineer finds, and if he concurs.
Okay.
And if they do that, then what my recommendation is based upon this information that I've received and what I'm hearing tonight, if our engineer agrees, it goes to the village board, and you're correct, Lee. The village board will look at the village engineer's recommendation along with our enforcement officer's recommendation. If you think that at that point, the warrant's going forward, then that opens the door to set a public hearing where we do the lien search, find out who's got interest in the property. We let them know that they can come here at a public hearing, which would typically be at another village board meeting, at a regular meeting. And just in a few minutes, you can go through that process at that time. So it's basically a month away, but you could do that.
Okay. So if I can make a motion tonight then?
You can make a motion just to ask the village engineer to proceed to assist the enforcement officer.
All right, I'd like to do that.
I second it.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay.
And again,
By Demo?
yeah, the charges, you keep track of it, because at the end of the day, those are appropriate charges, that if they're not reimbursed by the property owner, they can lien the property.
Okay.
Okay, and you'll give us the cost to do that?
Yeah, should it be through a proposal or just an hourly?
No,
basis for-
you're already the village engineer, so you just with whatever efforts are needed, just keep track of it, and with the invoice to the village,
Right,
we'll know what it is,
Okay.
and that gets added up.
Okay.
yeah, 'cause the thing is, he can't give, he's gotta go do
Yes.
it, so.
Yeah.
There's no
Take what it
wait for a
takes.
cost, he's gotta go do it.
Yeah, so the evaluation at this time is just the porch, so is that right?
Right.
Okay, we're not
Yeah.
going beyond that.
No.
Okay.
Okay, so he'll do that, then we come back to our next meeting, and next meeting, if we decide to, we can do,
I can
set up.
be prepared at that point, once I get everything and have the resolution,
Okay,
at that point where you consider scheduling the public hearing.
okay, sounds good. I want that down for sometime. I know.
Okay, old business, ready and streetscape projects. Gregor?
Sure, so last week we had the progress meeting. I know Judy was at the progress meeting for the ready projects. Just a couple of updates for everyone. At the water treatment plant, the majority of the work has been done, at least the interior at this point. The siding's complete, just waiting on the new doors, waiting for those to come. So that can be completed. A couple of minor things are being worked on. There's a plumber coming in this week to finish up some of the minor plumbing items.
Thanks, Lee.
Thank you.
See you, Lee. And then some pipe insulation needs to be done. That should be done the next week or so. Site work at the water plant includes some new grading, revised grading and near the entrance. That's probably gonna be done this spring. And that's due to the paving that's required. I think at this point, the village would prefer to keep the asphalt the way it is and not have gravel in there for plowing purposes. So I don't expect any of the site work to commence until springtime, when they can, do the asphalt work also. There's also some riprap that may be installed as long as the water levels stay down, and that work can commence this winter. Other items, the wharf is on hold until we get a warm up, and the work that needs to be done there includes the concrete work. So even though we've had some fairly seasonable weather, they need to get the temperatures above freezing, preferably up in the 40s.
45.
Up in the 40s preferably, yes. Lower James Street, they're anticipating delivery of that dock in March. So as soon as that comes in, they'll be working on the installation,
Nice.
weather permitting. Upper James Street dock, we've completed the design changes. So at the last meeting, we talked about the elevation adjustment. So the elevation has been taken into account. We also did some design updates based on the existing conditions of the steel work for the Upper James Street dock. So that's been done, and everything's back to DC builders now, and they will be working with Matty Docks, which is the dock supplier, to incorporate those changes and get a complete package of the revised dock components back to us for review. So we're hopeful to get that back in a timely manner so we can get that approved and they can get that ordered, the dock components for the Upper James Street. Once it's ordered, we'll have a better sense of the timeline for delivery of those components.
I see they made the fencing a little tighter
Have they
along
around
at
Upper
Upper
James?
James, because we kept seeing people, walking out on the dock. So I
Yeah.
hope that helps.
Yeah, hopefully everyone sees the signs and the fencing and stays off the dock until everything's complete, but I think that's about it for the ready projects. We do have 2 payment applications. I know it's
Yes.
not on the
Under
agenda
new
for
business.
tonight. We have one from DC and one from SNL for approval.
All I have is these two. Is there an SNL there?
There was an SNL also. Was it all in the same email, or?
I have, did
I have hard copies, Molly, if.
Yeah, I'm gonna need that then, cause all I have is, I
Shall
put
we
in
do
the,
that now while he's talking about it?
yes,
Okay. So that's number one under new business, authorize the mayor to sign and pay DC Building Systems, Inc., app number, whatever it is, for $279,454.37. I need a motion for that, please.
I'll make a motion.
So SNL has payment application two, I'll just.
Okay, so
hand
the
that
first
off
one
to
is
Dylan.
for DC Builders.
Yeah.
I need a second.
DC Builders.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. And then,
Total on,
what is the total on this one?
let me see.
SNL is $279,454.37.
No, wait, that was DC Builders.
let's,
Do we have them mixed up?
Yeah, there's one of each, so SNL, yep,
Sorry.
So how much is that?
is $11,980 and
45
45
cents.
cents, yeah.
Okay. I have a motion to authorize the mayor to sign and pay SNL for $11,980.45.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Streetscape, Gregor?
So I think that's it for the ready projects, unless there's any questions on the status of anything, or,
No. And Jeff, what do you have left for Streetscape?
so I don't have any updates on the streetscape project.
Okay.
I don't know if, Thomas wasn't able to make it tonight, but he probably would have some updates on the status of that needed.
Okay. Next is pickleball court. No report on that? Same as last time?
Yes.
Okay. Everybody has in front of them a letter from the Department of Health, addressed to the mayor regarding the drinking water state revolving funds bipartisan infrastructure law general supplemental funds. To make it short, it's bill funding. New York State Department of Health has completed an evaluation for fiscal year 2022. Blah, blah, blah. Funding through the Drinking Water State Revolving Fund for the project referenced above, which is the village water system infrastructure. I am pleased to inform you that this project is eligible for a Bill GS Grant Principal Forgiveness Award of up to $2 million and Bill GS Interest-Free Financing of $8,103,000. I have found out that that's a 30-year timeline. This approval WIA grant of up to $3 million that was awarded for this project on April 25th of 2022. So everybody has that. This has to be signed and sent in with some other paperwork by the 20th. So if everybody has looked at it, if we could have a motion to decide, the mayor to sign this and to move forward. We're going to try for Tuesday of next week that will discuss this with all of us and also the DRI New York Forward projects at the same time. That'll give us more. Gregor will have more information for us if we used 11 million or 8 million, whatever we ended up borrowing, what it would cost us. We'll have more information, and if we sign it at any point, if we say, no, we don't, we can turn it down. Which,
Yeah, at this point, it's just a letter of interest,
Yeah.
so you don't have a grant agreement in place yet for funding,
right.
but this is the first step to getting there.
So if I can have a motion to authorize the mayor to sign this. So
I'll make the motion to have the mayor sign this letter of interest.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. Aye. Okay.
of, village equipment, so it's a standard practice we do. But that doesn't mean that as of May 1st, water will be shut off.
Any questions on that? A motion?
I'll make a motion, we, don't shut any.
Why is it on here?
There's a letter there requesting to use the building.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Dear Mayor Jarvis and village trustees, Hearts for Youth would like to thank the village board room throughout 2022 for our board meetings and the many programs offered to our community. Our partnership has provided space for the Boomer Movers exercise classes as well as their holiday luncheons. We have also been able to hold many craft classes and an intergenerational game day, which was very popular. Hearts for Youth would like to continue to hold our board of directors meetings on the third Thursday of each month throughout 2023. If there is a change in the meeting date, we will inform the office of the change. We also want to continue using the community room for our future programs. I don't have a problem with that. We have a motion to allow Hearts for Youth to use the community room?
I think I have to abstain, don't I?
I'll make a motion.
I think
We give permission for Hearts for Youth
We
I'll
have-
second
to use the community room.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
I don't think you have to.
All right, so we got it. I have that, I have that. Okay, next one, volunteer firefighters and ambulance workers exemption. Molly, can you start with that?
Yes, so we were sent over information from Attorney Burrow's office a while ago in reference to our firefighters and ambulance workers getting an extra exemption. Everyone has the information, criteria to it. They have to be proven to be a firefighter for 2 years, ambulance workers for 2 years. And then if the village seems they want to go forward with it, we could make a local law, resolution in the local law to move forward. And then also, though, the town of Alexandria has the same information was sent to them, I'm assuming, and they can waive or also approve it. If the town refuses, only village firefighters would get it through the village. But at this time, once the town approves, if they approve it on their side, all fire people would get exemptions in the village and the town ones. And that's how. So I gave all the information Mr. Burrow sent over and the information for everybody to look at. I just want everyone to review it now, and then we can move forward.
Yeah, so in a nutshell, New York State recognizes it's difficult to get volunteers. And so as an added incentive, that there are certain real property exemptions that sometime apply. 466A is one of them. Municipalities can already provide a limited exemption through 466, but 466 was amended, and what it lets a town, a village, a school, and a county to do is, each one separate, could consider adopting a local law for a village or a resolution, either one, that would provide an exemption of up to 10% of the volunteers' taxes in the village tax on residential property, not business property, only residential property, and eligibility. You're not going to let somebody come in and just join on day one and they get the exemption on day two. You've got to be, you can have policies on that. There's procedures, at least 2 years, up to 5 years, and then if they get it, they get it as long as they continue to be a volunteer. If they've got 20 years of service at that point, it continues for their life. But it's only for the village. Town has the ability to do the same thing. School has the ability to do the same thing. County has the ability to do the same thing. So, and by the way, when we say 10%, it's up to 10%. You don't have to go the full 10. It's just basically an added attraction that if you're dealing with the problem of finding volunteers being difficult, this gives you an option. It doesn't require any action right now. It's just out there. I've not heard what the county is going to do. The town, I've not heard. The school, it could be a big deal because, you know, school taxes can be kind of high. So it could be a real incentive to attract volunteers.
So are we at a point now to set a public hearing on
Yeah.
this? Not yet.
No, if you wanted to proceed by resolution, you could set a public hearing for your next month to consider something like this. You could set a public hearing if you want. I can give you some paperwork next month to look at it. If you wanted to proceed by local law, you couldn't, because you've got to have the local law in front of you already. But you have the ability that they technically say local law, ordinance, or resolution. Nobody adopts ordinances anymore. They're just cumbersome and they're expensive. But with the resolution, you could. But part of it might be the outreach that you'll make with the school and the town, if you want to see what they're going to do and encourage them to give you some input on it as well.
So reach out to them first before we set a public hearing?
That's up to the board's pleasure. You could set a public hearing, and if you have a public hearing for your next month, that does not mean that you're necessarily going to move one way or another at next month's meeting. It just means you have your public hearing. You can proceed sometime thereafter if you wish. But between now and next month, it would probably be good if you could find out what the school intends to do, if anything, and the school would proceed by resolution. To see what the town intends to do, the town proceeds by local law or resolution as well. Again, keep in mind, when we say village, so it's not whether somebody's a member of the village, the fire department. They have to have residential property in the village.
Right.
If they do that, that's where the incentive comes into play.
And who deals with the paperwork to keep track? You would deal with the
No,
office?
the assessors, and that's important.
No, I mean, how many firemen live in the village? Is that something the office would have to keep track of?
That would, fire department would give us all that information, their
And-
roster.
And so there's an application, and so the town assessor would have to make sure these applications are available. A firefighter or an ambulance volunteer would get the application, he or she would fill it out. The assessor reviews it to see if it's accurate. It's got to be certified as being accurate, so it's not a fraud, and they go through that process. There are twists and turns with it. I'm not going into it now, but I can if you want. But it's available to encourage men and women to volunteer. That's what. But at the same time, it comes down because it impacts you on your tax revenue.
So if, just say on the off chance the town and the school said no, we could still say
You
yes.
can still say yes and still do it. Yes, you can.
Okay.
I think,
I mean, it ain't gonna hurt us nothing, we can start it, and then go
You
from there.
can schedule a public hearing, to consider an exemption under real property tax law, section 466-A, for your next meeting on, February,
February
Valentine's Day.
14th.
I make a motion, we do that,
at what time?
5:15?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
I'll provide the notice.
Yeah.
And you will start discussion on what we need to do.
Yes. The state sent paperwork, we're supposed to send paperwork out to different municipalities. I'm not sure how efficient that was.
I'll send you a copy tomorrow. Okay, I'll send that to you and you can, go send me all the notices I need.
So who contacts the school and the town?
That's up. Now, the state is supposed to do that as well. Your guess is as good as mine, whether that's happening.
Okay.
But
I was gonna say, Sandy.
I haven't seen anything at the town yet.
you have the ability to reach out to the town supervisor and ask if they're looking into this, and let them know that the village is looking into it. Same thing with the school
I can
superintendent.
take a letter to the school tomorrow and see what they say.
Comes from the office.
Well, it came from,
No, I mean from you, the office, to ask the town and the school what they're gonna do.
Thing by thing.
Each entity, it's for their own taxes.
Right.
So the only thing we can influence is the village. And what we need to look at is, as Mr. Burrows said, do we wanna make, if we decide to go forward with this, do we want someone to have membership for 2 years, or do we want to make it 5 years? What do we want to do for our criteria? You know, maybe we need to talk to, how many people do they have that are actually village residents? How is that going to impact, you know, our taxes? If it's gonna be, you know, if 30 of them are all village residents and all own village homes, like, I have no idea what those answers are. But I can't imagine that it would be a large impact, and I think it would be a good incentive, but those are the things that we as this board need to look at.
Well, that would be something that Steve finds out. He is the liaison to the fire department, so we can
Right.
ask him to do that.
And I can forward the letter that I got to you, you know what I mean, in reference to what it's all about, if you haven't seen it yet.
Then they can discuss it up there, and then the school can discuss
Yeah.
it over there.
Because what the town, if I get this right, what the town would do would affect all the firemen, all the town people, or town fire department residents, correct? That's how I'm perceiving it, right?
Well, and remember, you know, a village resident is also a town resident.
Exactly, so
So
they get a
village
village
residents-
and a town
Yes,
discount.
yes.
Okay, got it.
So I think before the next meeting, we need to count of how many firemen would be in the
Correct.
village.
And I asked for the roster, I already asked when I
Okay.
was working.
Any other new business?
Just one quick thing, I understand the mayor's unable to attend tonight because he's ill. Just want to remind the board that one of these, the options that New York State came up with, a couple months ago was remote video conferencing. I'm not saying it's good, I'm not saying it's bad, but what remote video conferencing does is this: during the pandemic, municipalities could conduct public meetings remotely with video conferencing. That ended when Governor Hochul ended the public state of emergency. They then changed the law to say, look, each municipality can decide for itself whether you want to be able to continue that. The key is you would still have your meetings in person, still would be meeting here at the village office, but if you decided to adopt a local law to allow remote video conferencing, if a member was unable to attend for some unforeseen reason, he or she could still, if they wanted to, participate remotely. And that's up to the village board, and if you were to do that, you could limit it to either the village board, or you could extend it to also encompass a village planning board, a village zoning board of appeals. It's early on in the game. I'm not seeing that municipalities have taken a strong position in favor or against it. The general sentiment that I'm hearing, though, is everybody prefers meetings in person, but at the same time, they recognize once in a while it's nice to have that ability. Where a remote meeting can be helpful is quorums. You've got to have obviously 3 members in attendance. So if you can have the ability of remote video conferencing, it makes sure you've got your quorum, that you can still conduct business. And that can probably be more important with like a zoning board of appeals or a planning board, where a lot of times we have a difficult time filling those vacancies. But it's just a topic still out there, not time sensitive. It's just one thing to be aware of and be thinking about from time to time and considering it.
Maybe that should be something on the agenda for next month. One thing, let's go back to the fire department. The mayor is listening, suggested we do go forward, which we are doing, and he said 3/4 of the volunteers are in the town. So that gives you an idea of what we have, and I have no idea of numbers, but he said thank you. Okay.
So back to this Zoom thing, I'm assuming most people do it through Zoom. I know with nonprofits, they had to put in their bylaws that members of boards could still vote and their vote counted because they needed them for the quorum.
Yes.
So I don't know if that is the same for here, because a couple times I haven't been able to come and I wasn't allowed to speak or vote, so.
Well, with this, if you were to go forward with some form of remote video conferencing, then you would continue to be present, you'd be able to debate, be able to vote, One of the things that the board would have to do, though, is adopt a policy on it. It's, to be honest, it's fairly straightforward material.
Well, the state's written one.
Yes.
Yes, it's done.
That's just a general one.
Right.
And you can fine tune it, but again, I'm not saying it's good, I'm not saying it's bad, but it's available for municipalities to consider. Especially in the North Country here, we get sometimes hard hit with weather,
Yep.
hard hit with, you know, the flu or whatever. It gives you an option, if you wish.
Is that just for board meetings, or if we were having a workshop or something that we needed a quorum?
Well, if you were having
Special meeting.
if you were having a workshop, that's considered an open meeting, and so, yeah, it would be eligible for that as well. Any of the public meetings that the village board would have, and again, you could expand it so it would be available for your ZBA and your planning board as well, or you could limit it just to the village board. You know, just something to keep in mind as time goes on.
Well, I know sometimes it's hard to get all of us together,
Mm-hmm.
you know, it's the right time that works for everybody.
Now, the unfortunate truth, though, is Molly, it's always more work for you. You know, you've got to make sure that that's available for people, so that, because if we do that, the public has a right to similarly then jump online to watch and listen to see what's happening locally.
They can comment also, correct? It's an open meeting.
If you have privilege of the floor, then they could chime in as well. We did that during the
Right.
pandemic.
So what we do now, is that okay with that? What we're doing right now, live and in person here,
Sure.
is that system okay with this?
Yeah, I mean, you're not, I mean, the mayor is able to
Mhm.
listen and perhaps watch. He's not participating actually.
Right.
So that there's nothing wrong with that at all. You've got your full quorum, you're conducting business openly, the public can attend, so yeah, you're fine.
Okay.
So it's something we need to talk about more going forward.
If the
Okay.
board's interested, sure.
Okay. Any other public concerns? Jim, do we have anything for executive session?
Not that I'm aware of.
Molly?
No.
Hang on a minute. He is watching, he's letting us know. Steve is watching. Okay. I'd like a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll make a motion we adjourn the meeting.
I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you, everybody.
I did get a message from, Russell Stat, he said that our thing was flipping in and out. He said, if you want, he'll troubleshoot it with us before you shut it down.
Okay.
$2 million of grant.
Well, do you want to do it with him or Molly?
Hold on, I'll call him right now.
So I shouldn't shut it off yet?
No, we'll see what he says. Did you want to do something with it before you shut it down?
So they received a letter, essentially notice of order.
Molly, do you need these?
Okay, so.
I'll be right back.
The water infrastructure